Well, in this segment I'm going to start in on the seat, and so eventually I'll be carving the seat, but first I've got to bore holes. So I'm going to bore the holes for the spindles and the post in the seat, and I'm going to wait until after I carve it to bore the holes for the legs. Sometimes I'll bore them before I carve and sometimes after I carve, and there's reasons for all that, but in this chair I'm going to bore after I carve. So what I'm going to concentrate on right now is boring for the spindles. You can see everything's got a compound angle to it, so I'll simplify that and show you how I do that. So let's see, here's the seat pattern. Let's go to the seat pattern here. There we go, exhibit A or B maybe. So here's the seat, and I've got a blank over there already laid out and have these lines drawn on it. So these are the siding lines, and this is, this is the way that I drill rake and splay angles. Rake being the angle looking at the chair from the side, splay being the angle looking at the chair from the front or from the back. And those compound angles then are turned into a simple angle called a resultant angle and a siding angle called a siding angle. And right there's the line for that. And there's some videos out there that I've done showing where I go into depth on rake and splay, and I won't do that here, but just show you how I'm going to execute it. And then I'll be tapering the post hole, and that's a nice little trick that I do there because those posts are so long and they could have a little warp to them, and so we have to take that into account. So anyway, let's I guess that's about all there is to say right now. We'll move on and get it started. Okay, so here's the pine blank. This is eastern white pine. It's at whatever thickness that's on my plans there, probably 1 13/16 or maybe 1 3/4. I forget what I call for it because I usually don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. I hit somewhere in between there. But you can see the blank's all prepped now. I've planed it down, and you didn't need to see that because I've done that before in other videos. But I'm carving on the pith side. Bark side's back over here in the middle of the trees, right here. And other than that about the blank planes this way, and I like to put the back of the seat back here if I can, with the blank carving this way, and that way the bulk of my seat is lining up with the carving direction. It works out better that way. This blank has a couple of little wormholes in it over here, but I'm not going to discard a perfectly beautiful single board pine seat blank just because there's a couple little wormholes. After I carve it, if I end up, there won't be much in it, but if I end up with a little bit, I'll fill them. That's why we paint them. So you can see I've got it laid out, got the outside of it drawn, and that's my low spot right there on the outside that I'll be doing with the draw knife later after I carve it. These are the posts, spindles here and posts there. I've got the siding lines drawn, and now all I have to do is just drill these holes. These are 1/2 inch holes, and they're 1 1/8 inch deep. I'm going to drill all the spindle holes first, and then I'll clamp the seat off of the bench because these post holes go all the way through. Don't want to drill into my bench. Okay, well, let's get going here. So what's that first angle? So I got my pattern right over here. Looks like this one's 8 degrees, and then there's 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, and 8. Now, as I say on the plans, all of these angles, these rake and splay angles, are to make sure that when you put the chair together, the spindles are going to be slightly bent back and bent out. And there's a few reasons for that. One, the chair looks good like that. Another is, my spindles are whittled, they dry sometimes crooked and all this stuff, and you want to make sure that the look is going back and out and not up and in. so you kind of overcompensate for that going in, because you're never going to get it exact. If you want it exact, what you do is you don't drill them right now. You wait till you get the post done and you put the comb on it, and then you have to use a cordless drill here, and that's another reason I don't like doing it like this. I like using my bit brace. But you can stick that cordless drill just right in between the comb and the seat, and you can get it perfect, if perfect's what you want. Okay. So I got 8 degrees right here. I take my nifty bevel balls here and set it on 8, and tighten it down. Always check it again. And 10, 9, 8. Okay. At 8, and just set it up parallel and perpendicular with it, like that. Now, go. Back drill the wrong, back make a mistake there. Don't want to do that. There you go. Don't want to drill that post hole yet. Now you might get somebody to sight you from this side, and you can even set up mirrors and all that. But it's nice to be able to just set that thing up and drill it, because it eliminates a whole lot of bother, and you can learn how to do it if you just practice at it. Okay. Now I'm using an auger bit, which means I can just count the turns, and I know how deep I am. With this bit right here, it's 18 turns to 1 1/8. So that's what I'll do. There we go. Now I got to change it to 7, and that'd just be just a little tap right like that. Let's see what we got. That's it. Oop. Okay, there we go. So one nice thing about auger bit, besides it being just a pleasure to use and quiet, is you get it tuned up real well, and it just has a nice pristine entry into softwood like pine. Okay, now I'm going to clamp it up to where I can bore all the way through for these holes right here, and then we'll taper it. Okay, so I'm all set up to drill the holes for the post, and if you got the plans, you can see they're at 13.15. Don't worry about the 1.5, that's just the way the math works out, because the, let's see what we got here. Yeah, we got a splay of 6.5 and a rake of 11.5. Yep, and so that's the way that works out. Okay, and the sighting angle's right up through there. Now drill this one all the way through. I don't know how many turns that is. I wish I did, and then I could stop just as the point comes through. But I'm going to have to fill down there, and I'd rather not break through. If I do, it's okay, but I'd rather come through the other side. Okay, so let's see what we got here. I'm sighting up through there. I'm at 13.15. There it is. So we're at about 23. So I know how to do it on this side. my fine tool up off of the floor. And now I'm going to bore back through, so you could flip it over and bore back through, but what I usually do is just go right up underneath it, find that hole. Oh goodness gracious, got a whole bunch of holes underneath there. I don't know which one's the right one. Wormholes is what I got to put underneath there. Okay, I think I found it. Yeah, there we go. So as long as you get close enough with it, it'll bore fine. Let's see, this one I can see. You got no wormholes on this side. Okay, finished boring. Now I'm gonna get the post and get the reamer. Show you how I taper this. Okay, so I'll be back in a minute. So the posts are in the kiln and staying dry, so they're super dry, you know. So I'll take them out and taper them, fit them to the hole, and then they'll go back in there until we're ready to, well, assemble again or put the chair together, whatever. Okay, so in the last segment, I finished the legs with spoke shave, and I think I neglected to tell you that, but it's kind of obvious, that I also finished the post and the stretchers of the chair that same way, with that faceted look of that of the spoke shave. These posts haven't been done yet, but the tapers are true, so we'll I'll be able to ream and set it up. The other thing, let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot to draw a line. So what I really meant to do before I drilled this hole, while I still had just one little point there, was draw a perpendicular line this way. But since I messed up and drilled the hole first, I'm going to have to kind of guess at where the center of that hole is, and I guess I can get pretty close. It'll be fine. But try to remember to do that prior to boring the hole. So right there maybe, come out through there. Now I can extend it. There we go, right there. And might as well just go ahead and draw this one too. Find the center of the hole and just, I don't have to square that one because I'm just going to have it cross the center line the same place as that one. And if this one's a little off, then this one will be a little off and they'll match. So that's fine. Now the reason I had to do that, for those of you who have seen other videos where I use this taper reamer, this is a 6-degree included reamer. It means it's 3 degrees on either side of center, 6 degrees. Tim Manning made this one. I use other ones that Alia Bazzari made. I just happened to have grabbed Tim's off of the wall there. It's a fine tool. And so I'll be tapering this hole and siding and adjusting, siding with the bevel square and the tri-square, and adjusting it to get it just right. And with the legs and arm supports, I sight right off of the reamer. But the problem with doing that with these posts is these posts are so long and thin, and then sometimes they might be a little bit green whenever I put them in the kiln, and they're not necessarily straight. This one's got a little slight bow that way with it, and that means that the top would be off up here, and your comb would be twisted or it'd be leaning this way or that way. So what I do to compensate for that is I sight off of the top of the post itself. And so this is the way that I do that. I'll set that to the side. I got to get my taper started here. And we can kind of get it in the ballpark, right like that, and right like that. So Okay, so I got the taper started. I need to tighten that up. The way you tighten these up, if you got a reamer like this and it's falling out, clamp it together right like that and hit it with a heat gun on either side, and it'll hold the blade in place until you're ready to remove it. Maybe I'll do it next month. Okay. So now you want the same orientation every time. So I got a little mark, a little dot right there, and I'm just going to make sure that dot's pointing that way each time. Because it's got a little bow to it. You turn around and turn it 180, then it's not going to work. And the grain orientation will be the growth rings are running perpendicular to the long wood fibers. And in previous videos I give long explanations about why I do that, and it is because you are aligning the two planes that move the least and the two planes that move the most and getting the best joint out of it. And that is always, if the long wood fibers of the mortise piece are this way, then the growth rings of the tenons would be running perpendicular to it, to where the ellipses would be here. Okay. So now let's sight this. I can sight right off the top. I can line up, all I'm doing right here is lining up 3 points. This point, and this point down here. You can nail it. So I need to go to the right. I always say which direction I need to go in. And let's look at that. And now I've set up the bevel square. So the bevel square is set at 13.1. It's sitting right on this line that I drew perpendicular. And now I can sight the same way I'm using the tri-square over here. I'm using the T-bevel square right here. And I need to go back. So I need to go back and to the right. Now I'll show you an alternative way to do this too. If you just give me a second, let me get some kite string here. Hey, I'm back. I've got my kite string, my little push pin here, and this is the way I did it for a little while until I realized you didn't have to do it like this, but it's still a good way to do it. And if you feel more comfortable doing it like this, you can just bring that string right down, put it right on your line, and then just bring the bevel square up and read the bevel square. Push it right up against the line, and I can line everything up and look at that, and I can see that the post needs to come back. Okay, so just wanted to show you the alternative way to show you there's more than one ways of doing this. There's probably about 20 more. Okay, so what did I say? I need to go to the right and back. So let's do that, to the right and back. Hold on my blade so it doesn't fall out. Okay, put it back in. Now let's see what I did here. Sight that, and I gained about half of it. And what did I do there? Gained about half of that. That's good. I don't want to move too fast, so I still need to go back and right. And I felt the bottom down there, and I noticed this wasn't coming through yet, so I got a little ways to go. Okay, splitting it right down the center. That's nice. And still off about 1/8 of an inch. Not much when you're up this high, but I can dial it right in, and I've got a little ways to go. So Okay, that probably do it. Starting to come through down there. Let's see if I mess this one up. Nope, looking good. That's what I did here. Yeah, I could come back just a smidgen bit. So now, before I go any further, I'd really like to know what my measurement is right here. And I forgot what I put on those plans, so I'm going to go look at my plans. I mean, I don't have to look at the plans. I can just make it up like I did the plans, but I'll go look at them. Okay, well, I went over to look at my plans to see what that measurement was right there, and that is from the siding line up. And I was looking, you know, to see what it was, that V-groove right there. And lo and behold, when I looked at the plans, I've got them laid out for a baluster turn, so it doesn't help on this at all. So I'm going to have to just tell you what that is, and if you're doing the double bobbin, then you'll know. And you just make it up. It's fine. It could be about anything as long as it's sticking through some. So it's not quite sticking through enough right now. I'm going to bring it back just a little. Needs to come back some. Take it down a little bit. Okay, that should be where I want it. Okay, that's good. Look and make sure I didn't mess anything up. That's still looking good. Let's see if I got that last 1/16 of an inch out of this. Really close, really close. I wouldn't say it's splitting it down the center, but it's close. Okay, now we'll just set our dividers here for what that is, right there. And then I'll give it to you, tell you what it is. That is 5 3/16. Right there. Okay. I'm going to do this side while you aren't looking, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I got this one set now, and now I like to check the wind with these nice winding sticks here. So I can pull it up against the base. And another thing that works out good is before you drill the holes, if you draw a line connecting the 2 points, then you already have a line down there, and you just use it, and it's even more perfect than this. But I forgot to do that too, which doesn't matter. Just stick that stick down there and put this one over the top like that, and sight over them and see how close they are. And those are dead on. They are dead on. So if you follow all that and get it right, then they're going to be dead on. But one thing you could do, and that is, if you, instead of setting your dividers at 5 3/16, if you set your dividers at, say, 5 5/16, okay, take both of them down to that point, 5 5/16, put your winding sticks on it and take a look at it, and if it's off a little bit, it'll give you an 1/8 of an inch to be able to correct it. So that's a good way to do it there. But I've got it right, so we know their position up here now is right, and now I've got them marked right and left as you sit in the chair, and now I'll mark the orientation right like that. Remember, the growth rings are perpendicular to the long wood fibers. Now we know exactly where they go in there, and we're finished with that part.